What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 30 Minutes of Hell. I am your host, Brandon Baker, joined as always by Joey Jackson and Matt Jackson. Reminder that we are brought to you by the Field of 68 Podcast Network. You can find us there on YouTube, and you can find us on Twitter or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, under 30 Minutes of Hell. And we appreciate you tuning in to talk some Razorback hoops with us. Speaking of, Arkansas finally showed a little bit of life in their most recent game. Weren't able to pull out the win, still lost to Kentucky at home by 6 points, but it was a valiant effort and a lot of improved things, a lot of good things to talk about. Just couldn't close it out. Had a pretty rough stretch over the last couple of minutes and just couldn't pull the win out. But a lot of good things, a lot of good performances from some players, some questionable things, some weird stuff going on even pregame in this game. But overall, a solid outing, a solid effort, like I said. So let's jump into it. First, right off the jump, Trevin Brazil didn't play in this game, nursing a knee injury. Musselman said that he hadn't practiced all week. We saw him miss the second half of the last game, nursing the same knee soreness. So something to keep an eye on there. They're not sure how long he's going to be out. Tremont Mark returned from an injury. He missed all of the last game with migraines, but was able to come back and play against Kentucky. Had a pretty good day, uh, like he has been having for the Hogs. But the biggest story of the day was no Devo Davis. And there was really no explanation for it. It was just right before the game was tipped off, we got a press release saying that he is stepping away from the program. And there was no temporarily stepping away. There was no reasoning given. There was just very little communication, a very kind of strange situation, in my opinion. I don't know what's going on with Devo, but I wouldn't be shocked if we've seen the last of him in a Razorback uniform, which is, it sucks that it goes out this way. And we don't know, we're not in his head. We don't know what's all going on in his life. We don't know what all's even going on in the locker room. But it could be just as simple as he's done with his team, but you never know what else is going on in someone's life. So before you go too far trashing on Devo, and I'm talking to anybody out there, remember that you don't know what all is happening with him personally in his life. And if he needed to step away for personal reasons, we wish him the best. We wish everything is okay. Um, from a basketball perspective, it really sucks. I didn't want his career to end like this, but just keep that in mind that we don't know the whole story. So just be mindful of what you say, about him in public and things like that. But from a basketball perspective, though, which is what we're here to discuss, Devo not being in this game kind of forced Musselman's hand to play some more guards, some heavy minutes. We saw a lot of Caliph Battle, a little bit of Jeremiah Davenport. We saw some Joseph Pinion in this game, a little bit more of Layden Blocker. Must have still kind of throwing combinations at the wall, even down one of his guards that has been soaking up a lot of minutes. What did you guys see from the guard play in this game that you liked or maybe didn't like as much?
Yeah, Brandon, I'll first of all I want to hop in and kind of go back to what you were saying about Devo before we get into the thick of things. I think you said that perfectly. We never know what's going on in someone's life. I think it's important to note that sports in general, whether you're in basketball, football, soccer, anything, it's a ruthless environment with a fan base. Devo had people that loved him. Devo had people that hated him. All athletes have that experience with sports. I've fallen victim to trash talking, other players and other schools and whatnot. But I do think it's important to know that we don't know everything, no matter what happened to Devo. It's important that we don't forget what he has done for the program. We wouldn't be in the position that we are this year, like over the past 4 or 5 years, with our tournament success if it wasn't for him. So very sad to see him step away from the program, especially in a down year like this, because he will get extra flack for quote unquote walking away. But just want to say that first and foremost. Moving on to our guard play, I was happy with the play of specifically guys like Battle. Battle really stepped up. What Even though it wasn't what we've seen in the preseason and in other games early in the season, his scoring output, but his effort was there. He was playing very well on defense. We saw Ellis play very well on defense. Muss even noted it at the halftime interview that he was impressed with how his players were going straight up. We were contesting a lot of shots in the paint without fouling. So very happy with our overall guard effort on the defensive side of the ball. Offense still a work in progress to say the least. Mark did play as well as he could have against a great Kentucky defense. Didn't shoot the ball great. I think he shot 5 for 17, but overall, I'm much happier with how this team played, regardless of the loss overall. I think that our energy was up in the game. We're still seeing similar mistakes with guys like Ellis and guys like Battle and Blocker, where we're throwing the ball away, and we don't have a true point guard on this team. We've said it from the jump. We don't have a guy that can facilitate and get us 3 to 5 assists a game. We just don't have that guy, and I don't think that anything's going to change with that this season. I don't think we're going to magically transform a guy like Battle, a guy like Blocker, a guy like Ellis. I don't think we're going to transform them into the ball handling, facilitating guard that we need. But we can we can play with what we have and we can make the most of what we have. We've just got to do better about a team as a whole, working the ball around the perimeter and getting guys, getting cuts, getting guys open looks. Even if we don't have that one guy that can run an offense, we can use all of our guys working the ball around and getting better looks than what we're currently getting. I couldn't tell you how many times we saw Ellis or Battle just dribble the ball around for 10, 15 seconds and then it'd be a turnover. No, nothing against those guys. They're just not true point guards.
Yeah, I get that. I like what you said about the effort. I thought the effort, of course, I think all of us agree that the effort was there. And I still love the effort I see out of Davenport, and I still love the effort I see out of Battle the entire game. They're always high energy guys, and I love that. The biggest thing that I'm still going to complain about is just the lack of blocker. I get he played, but I feel he played well when he was in, and I don't see why we did not keep him in. And maybe that, I always say it, maybe that will change going forward. Um, but I would really like to see more blocker because I feel blocker is one of those guys that we can keep around. If we can keep him around, he's going to be that 4 year guy or 3 year guy that is a veteran and a solid lockdown defender and the guard that we need him to be. I think he's still, he's young and he's hasn't really had a crazy amount of minutes. He did at the very beginning where he got starts and started playing really well, and I don't know what ever really happened to him. I don't know why must end up sitting him down. I'm not really sure, but I would like to see more of him. I feel he has the most potential to be that guard that we are looking for. I'm not saying he's going to be, but I think he has the most potential just because of his effort and his drive to want to be that guy. And I think he would be more willing to take on that facilitator role because from what I've witnessed, he is not one of those guys that's going to try to go get his own points. He is kind of scrappy. He'll get a rebound, put it up, fast break, whatever it may be. He's not a guy that's going to take away from the main guy, of course, being Mark. Um, Overall, I was shocked to see no Minifield, really. That surprised me. But overall, I think we have the potential to have that guy. I just don't really know what is going on in the coaches' minds or in practice, whatever's keeping Blocker out of the role that I would like to see him at. I think he's not necessarily the answer to all of our problems, but an answer to part of them.
And I think Blocker's biggest downfall is he can't really stay under control. He's very
Yeah.
chaotic. He's a high energy guy. I mean,
Mhm.
it works great on the defensive end, and we probably talked about it in our third, fourth episode of this season. How if he can just tone it down offensively, he's a guy that can be a starter easily because of the effort he gives defensively. That's exactly what Muss likes, which again is why it's such an anomaly as to why he's not playing because he fits into Muss's typical scheme
Right.
perfectly. I think it's just the fact of having to calm down offensively to where he doesn't, have to play this high energy and make all of these mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. I think he's just not well balanced right now, which that'll come with time as he gets more time playing against college level athletes.
Right.
Yeah. And also the lack of Trevor Brazil in this game also forced some other interesting lineups I thought that we hadn't really seen yet outside of the guard play. We already talked about Davenport a little bit. We've seen a lot of him playing the four when Brazil's not on the court. When we go kind of small, we'll see sometimes like Tremont Mark or Davenport trying to be the small ball four. But against Kentucky, we actually saw a lot more of the two big man lineups with some combination of Jalen Graham, Chandler Lawson, and Mekhi Mitchell. And I thought all of them played very well, like
Yeah.
all of them. The Graham had some foul trouble, and uh, Lawson had what was it? Only 5 points, but had 7 rebounds. And Mekhi
Mhm.
Mitchell had one of his best games probably ever
Yeah.
in his career here.
Yeah.
Uh, 12 points, 13 rebounds, 4 blocks, only made 2 field goals, but was drawing fouls and being physical in the paint and went 8 of 10 from the free throw line. So phenomenal game from him. And
Hmm.
I've always said that I really like who Mekhi is as a player. He just every now and then has his downfalls, whether it be foul trouble, whether it be not giving full effort. Maybe it's a matchup thing where he can't keep up on the perimeter the way he needs to. Whatever the case may be, there's times where he can't stay on the court. But when he is on the court, I've always really liked what he brings to the team.
Hmm.
He's got a soft touch, a good free throw stroke, a good passer, obviously a good shot blocker. This is his second game this season, I think, with 4 more blocks. So just really encouraged by what I saw from him as well. But the
Yeah.
big man rotation in general.
I love Mitchell. I said it either last episode or the episode before. I'm sick of everyone dogging on him because we've seen really great games from him. He's a very smart player at times. He's a gifted passer, like you said, Brandon. There's been times where they've given him the ball at the high post, and I've just been amazed with how quickly he can react and dish to a guy like open in the corner or seeing a backdoor cut. Like he can play very well. I'm very impressed with Mitchell. It's just like you said, the consistency. Sometimes he can't find his game or he doesn't give the effort that we need to see from him. But I mean, against Kentucky, it could be the best game that we've seen from him as a Razorback.
Yeah, I definitely liked what I saw from Mitchell, and I have for the most part. And going back to his passing and everything, and I feel like sometimes he sees things that our team cannot see, our guys
Hmm.
cannot see, because he'll lead somebody with a pass, but that guy wasn't even going there. He's like, "Hey, why didn't you go there?" And it looks bad on him. And I
Hmm.
feel like that is where a lot of our fan base can start dogging him, because he'll make a pass and it may go straight out of bounds, but it really was the right choice if all of our guys were on the same page.
Yeah.
And I feel not having a set offense, and I love the freedom that gives them to make those types of plays. But if nobody's on the same page, that's where it makes one guy or all of our guys look really bad.
Hmm. And,
But
yeah.
yeah,
And kind of sticking with that note, Matt, there were a few times I think I don't know if it was against Kentucky. I think it was against Ole Miss where we would see like Mark or Battle or Ellis would want to give the ball to someone, and it's like you said, it's just miscommunication. They don't want to give it there, but like Mitchell would be calling for it because he sees something on the back end of things, but they won't give it to him because they don't see that same thing, and it causes friction, and we end up not getting anything out of it because we're not on the same page with the rest of our guys.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are right. Just the communication, the cohesion in general has just kind of been weird with this team.
Hmm.
And I think some of that comes with when you're winning games and your confidence is high, it's easier to click and make those right connections and reads and stuff like that. And just starting poorly and not being able to bounce back from it in this SEC stretch, I think that has affected them a lot.
Hmm.
And it hasn't allowed them to find that niche and click together. But anyways, we're gonna take a quick break here, but we're gonna be right back and talk a little bit more about the guard play and more specifically the point guard rotation, and maybe brainstorm on some ideas on where Arkansas goes from here because Musselman has been vocal about he's still searching. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about that right after a quick break.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 each and every week of the college basketball season. We have a special offer that will be available starting on Tuesday, January 9th, and running through Monday, February 12th, the morning after Super Bowl 58. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, in honor of the big game, you can use the bonus code FIELD158 and you'll get $158 in free bets on your first wager with BetMGM, regardless of whether or not you win that first bet. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD158. Deposit at least $5 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive $158 in bonus bets regardless of the outcome of your bet. Just make sure that you use that bonus code FIELD158 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly, which happens quite a bit. When you cross state borders, you just log into your existing account and fire away. You don't have to create separate accounts in each state. It's easy, it's simple, it's clean. And most importantly, we have some fun stuff coming up for the heart of the college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odd boosts, and my favorite, a nice juicy parlay boost. So download the BetMGM app and sign up today. Field 158.
All right. So after the Kentucky loss, Eric Musselman told the media that he is still kind of searching for answers at the point guard position. And it's kind of wild, kind of weird to me because this transfer portal haul that we got this offseason was guard heavy with a lot of dudes that we really thought were going to be capable ball handlers. And we thought we were going to have 3, sometimes even 4 guys on the court at a time that could handle the ball and create and get past their man or create for others, create their own shot. And that clearly has not been the case this year. They have not meshed well together. Tremont Mark has come into his own very well to where he can create his own shot. He's still not much of a distributor though. He puts his head down and he gets to the paint, draws fouls, scores, which is fantastic to have. But you need more. You need more versatility around him as well. But we have a lot of guys that I think aren't quite, I don't know if living up to it is the right word, but they're just not clicking the way we thought they would, such as like L. Ellis got the majority of minutes at the point guard position against Kentucky, played over 32 minutes and had an okay game, had 7 points, 3 rebounds. He continues to help rebound the ball from the guard spot. I think that is probably the biggest positive of having him on the court. And he has been giving effort. You can see that he wants it. He's trying to defend hard, things like that. But he only shot 3 of 10 from the field, had 5 turnovers to his 1 assist as the point guard. And so there's just a lot of things that we're still lacking at that position. And like I said, we have a lot of guys that we thought could be interchangeable in that position. And we kind of teased it in the last segment, but one of those guys is Leighton Blocker. I want to see him get more minutes. Joey talked about one of his biggest downfalls being really chaotic and not under control, which is not a good quality for someone that you're trying to get to run the offense and distribute and get your assist totals up. It doesn't fit as well on the offensive side of the ball, even though he is still continues to be a dog defensively. Like I still love what I see from him defensively, no matter what is happening on the other end. But then the other guy that I kind of wanted to bring up too was Keon Minifield. We didn't see him at all in this game, and he's almost the exact opposite because he's so little sometimes that he struggles to stay in front of some of the other SEC guards that are stronger than him. Sometimes they can kind of get into the paint more easily, but he's a true like playmaker in his hands. He might not be like the best passer that we've seen here or anything like that, but just his ability to handle the ball, handle it around pressure, navigate ball screens, create his own shot. We've seen him have high assist games. I mean, he does a lot of things very well on the offensive side of the ball. And so it's kind of hard. You kind of have a drop off with both of these guys, with Blocker on the offense, with Minifield on defense. Ellis gives you a little bit more balance for both, but he's been struggling. And Musselman said, he's still searching to try to find that answer. And so I don't know where they go, if maybe next game we see a lot more Minifield or if he tries to experiment with something else. But I'm really curious to see if we can give a guy like Minifield time and just lean into his offense and live with it, try to, be creative on defense and see what happens, or give Blocker more time and hope that he can develop and become, once the game slows down for these guys, once they get enough time on the court, I feel like they become better offensive players because they're not going 100 miles an hour. So maybe one of those two is the best option. I've even thought about the possibility of, and this becomes even a little more tricky without Devo in the equation, but I've thought of the possibility of running a lineup without any of the 3 of these guys. I mean, what if we see Tremont Mark, Caleb Battle, and Jeremiah Davenport at the 3 kind of backcourt positions, and you run without a true point guard? I mean, that could be something that they experiment with. I know Musselman said in this game that they kind of experimented a little bit with Tremont Mark at point guard. And while it works for him as a scorer, he is still very much wired to go score, and
Hmm.
it doesn't create the flow in the offense that they're still kind of searching for.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's good to have that from Mark, especially at times and in key moments, but you still want the facilitating, the ball movement, those kind of things. So, I mean, we talked about some of these guys earlier, but what are y'all's thoughts? What do you think might be the best option moving forward for this kind of point guard struggle that we're having?
Yeah, I don't know if there's I said it earlier, I don't think there's a puzzle piece fit here. It does work with Mark. The issue is we've got so many guys who if they can just stand out in the corner, stand out on the wings and a point guard find the open guy, we're a better team. You know, we've got Davenport, we've got Battle, we've got Ellis who can be spot up shooters, and we don't have that guy who can find them in their spots. I personally think the best option moving forward would be Minifield. Like you said, Brandon, he's the truest point guard that we have. He's quick. He can get to his spots. He facilitates off the pick and roll well. I find it very questionable as to why we haven't seen more of him, especially with how well we saw him play right out of, coming back into the lineup. But I don't know. I truly have no idea why Muss is not giving him the minutes. Obviously that I'm not the coach. I'm not the one that decides that. But I like a lineup of Minifield, Ellis, Mark, Brazil, and honestly probably Mitchell as our starting unit. Bring Battle off the bench. Bring Blocker off the bench. I think that Minifield's our best option at this point as a facilitator. And yes, like you said, we do lose a little bit of defense, but I mean we can't put up points. I mean, or we can't stop opposing teams regardless. It's not like we're sacrificing so much defense by having him into the lineup. If anything, we're getting better offensively and scoring more by having him in the lineup because we've seen how quick he is to get a burst of 7-8 points. So that's my preference is having him get 25-30 minutes a game.
Yeah, and I want to just kind of branch off a little bit of your point when you said that we have guys that a point guard can kick out to
Hmm.
and hit shots and everything. I agree with that, but we don't have guys moving
Yeah,
without the ball. We
very
don't
true.
have guys getting to that open spot. I mean, even in high school basketball, you see shooters. I know all three of us, that's what we wanted to do was shoot, right? We
Hmm.
would move to open spots. We would try to get open. We want that ball. And I'm just not seeing any ball movement. And I think a big thing was when I was watching it was when Mark was handling the ball. And there wasn't any flow to it, like we were saying,
Hmm.
with a guy that hey, he's going to go get his points. Every guy on our team knows that Mark can go score.
Hmm.
So there's just lack of movement there because nobody's really gunning for it. When we were playing well, we were seeing the ball move, but we were also seeing guys move around without the ball.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's the big thing that I'm seeing.
The thing is, I'm gonna further branch off your
All
point.
right.
The thing is with Mark, teams play him as a mid-range shooter. So even though he's blown by his guy, it's not really sucking the defense in to get those stationary guys open. With a guy like Minifield, they know that he's a quick guy. He's going to get straight to the paint. Even Battle, a guy like Battle, they know if he's got his head down going, he's getting to the paint. If Battle could just look up and see like guys like Davenport, guys like Mark in the corners and dish out once the defense sucks in, it's just we don't have that point guard who has that mindset of suck the defense in and dish out. And I think I don't know. Like you said, our guys aren't moving regardless, so it's going
Yeah.
to have to be off the suck in from a quick guy that they know is driving to the paint, and we don't
And
have that guy who sees that.
even with Minifield, I feel is a score first guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And so even if we do suck him in, I feel like he's going to try to go get a shot.
Yeah, you're
And I
100%
mean,
right.
that's the issue. We have a bunch of guys. We have a
Yeah.
bunch of guys that want to score. That's what they came here for.
Hmm.
And there's just nothing
Yep, we're
we
missing
can
the
do.
point guard.
Yeah, I think Minifield is a lot more likely to go in the paint and look for the big man on the backside to throw the
Yeah,
lob to. We saw that
That's
a
true.
lot with him in Brazil, but not so much kicking out to shooters. I think you're exactly
hmm
right about that. And I think of the options, he's probably the most capable of doing it. But you're right, he's still a score first guy. He's wired to go find a spot
hmm
and score. We've seen it here. We saw it at Washington last year.
Yeah.
But so I am very curious to see where Musselman goes from here with this rotation, what else he experiments with. Because like I said, Ellis hasn't been killing us too much. I thought that his turnovers were big in this game against Kentucky,
hmm
but I just want to see a little more experimentation, even with, and I know it's hard because we're kind of a small team in the backcourt, but even multiple guards, like Joey said. If Minifield plays with Ellis for a few minutes,
hmm
if Blocker plays with one of the two of them for a few minutes, you don't have to run that lineup all the time, but give them some time to get on the court and make a difference. I
Yeah.
want to see more of that,
Yeah.
more of our point guards.
You can't get hot. You can't get in a groove off 2, 3 minutes of play. Like you got to be in there for an extended period of time, and Minifield's not getting that at all right now.
I wish Ellis would. I wish somebody would tell Ellis that, hey man, just play your game because I still feel like he's playing scared.
Yeah.
I still feel like he's playing not to make a mistake instead of playing his game, and we talked about that plenty. So
Yeah. All right. Well, Arkansas has dropped to 1-7 in SEC play despite the close game against Kentucky. Still not looking great. The season's pretty sunk at this point. It was refreshing to see the effort pick up, but we're going to see if they can maybe build on that in their next game, which will be Wednesday night against Missouri on the road. If there was ever a chance for the Hogs to get their head right and get a good win, get back on track, it's going to be against this Missouri team. They are currently 8-12 on the season. They are 0-7 in SEC play, which sounds awful, but it's only one loss worse than we are.
Losers. Just kidding.
They've lost 10 of their last 11 games, and their only win came against UCA. Who,
Oof.
how
yeah.
does that make you feel, Matt? Alumni.
Well, I think they still have a better or a better record in the conference at least than the Razorbacks do.
That's probably true. That's probably fair. But anyways, so Missouri's ranked number 122 in the net rankings, just 7 spots ahead of the Hogs. 113 on KenPom, which is actually 1 spot worse than the Hogs. And then they have 105 ranked offensive efficiency, 133 ranked defense. Pretty mediocre across the board. A team that Arkansas should be able to beat if they play up. If we see the Arkansas that played Kentucky, it shouldn't be close. But if we see the Arkansas team that's played the other 6 SEC games, who the hell knows? But so Missouri, right off the bat, one thing that I think could help a lot, they're currently statistically the worst rebounding team in the SEC. And the rebound battle has been a huge factor for the Hogs all season. Kentucky, the loss to Kentucky was actually only their second time all season to win the rebound battle and still lose. And we've been talking about how it was still a valiant effort, how they were still right there in it. We liked what we saw from them and everything. And the other time that they lost was against number 19 Memphis in the Bahamas on less than 24 hours of rest. And that one was only by 5 points. So another, a good effort, a good outing. Those are the only 2 times that they've won the rebound battle and lost the game. So they're 8-2 when that happens. When they lose the rebound battle, they're 2-8. And those 2 wins were against not very good teams. So a huge factor is always the rebound battle, and not just getting the rebounds, but to me, that's pretty indicative of how much effort and energy we're seeing from the team. If they're out rebounding their opponents, getting second chance opportunities, closing out possessions, we're seeing a team that's playing with effort. That there's more urgency. They seem like they care more, and I think that translates almost directly into getting more rebounds and into winning that battle. So that's the stat that I kind of like to look at sometimes. And like I said, Missouri is currently the worst team in the SEC, so hopefully an advantage the Hogs can take advantage of there. And just also side note, they're also the worst team in the SEC at drawing fouls and at free throw attempts. So cannot change that trend, cannot let them get to the line, have to continue to defend without fouling.
Yeah.
But they're just a experienced team led by a few seniors and juniors. Sean East, senior guard, shooting over 46% from 3, averaging over 16 points a game. Tamar Bates, junior guard or wing, 6'5", shooting 46% from three and
Golly.
94% from the free throw line. I thought that was crazy. That's got to
Yeah,
be among the leaders in the
that's
country.
wild. Did you happen to see like how many free throws he averages per game? Does he shoot a lot of free throws?
I've got that pulled up. Let me go look. Tamar Bates averages two and a half free throws a game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty good amount. Third on the team in free throw attempts per game behind Sean East and Noah Carter, who is another 6'6" senior wing, averaging double-digit points as another guy that's a threat to score. But those two guys, along with their big man, Nick Honor, who's a 6'10" senior, another senior, he's shooting 40% from three. But those three guys, East, Bates, and Honor, are really their only guys that are somewhat threats from beyond the arc. So perhaps Musselman can come up with a game plan to limit them and really focus on limiting the 3-point attempts if the team can win the rebound battle because they're not a very good rebounding team. To me, that seems like a recipe for success. I think the Hogs can have a good game in this one and hopefully get right and bounce back. But it all comes down to what team shows up. Like I said, they've played their best 3 games of the season when the lights are brightest, and that was against Purdue in the preseason,
Yep.
Duke at home, Kentucky at home.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the best 3 times that I think we've seen Arkansas all season. And so now that we're going back to one of the worst teams in the SEC, you can't let it up. I mean, you
Yeah.
still have to have desperation and urgency. I understand that the tournament's pretty much gone, but for pride at this point, like just win. It feels good to win no matter what's on the line. So what are you guys looking for in this game specifically from Arkansas?
I want to see Minifield play. I want to see, I want to see a solidified lineup here. I really want to see our guards come out and have the best showing that we've seen from them all season. I want to see Battle play well. I want to see Ellis play well. I want to see Minifield get minutes. It'll be interesting to see if we see Brazil back in the lineup. If we do, I want to see him dominate, take over, and just play his game that we know he's capable of. I want to see the team that we saw against Kentucky. I think if we play like we played against Kentucky, I think that we walk away with this game by 15 points or more. But what's terrible is we never know what Arkansas team we're getting on a week to week basis. So that's it. I really want to see the team that we saw on Saturday.
On paper, this game is ours to lose. I mean, we're better in, I feel like, every category, and there's no reason we should lose this one, especially after a good game against Kentucky. And overall, we are a much better team than what we are showing. And I think I just want to see us be consistent and take what we did last game and move it over here. And I want to see more consistent lineups and rotations too over these next few games. I think every player on our team is tired of getting sat one game, but then 20 minutes the next game. I think we just need something like, hey, this is it. This is how it's going to be. Good luck. Let's do it. So over these next few games, including this game, I want to see just guys get the minutes, and that's how it is the rest of the time, because I think everybody's tired of seeing junk being thrown out. That's overall.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. I think we all think Arkansas wins this game. Am I right? And assuming that, I think we win this one. All right. So real quick then, before we sign off, give quick answers here. Who's your MVP for this game for Arkansas?
I'm gonna say Mark. I think that, I mean, it's an easy answer. I think he scores 20 or more.
Give me Davenport. I think Davenport is gonna get it.
Yeah, I was thinking about Davenport, but I think I'm going to go with the big men. I think I'm going to say that Mekhi Mitchell keeps it going, has another good game.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I couldn't decide between him and Chandler Lawson, so if Chandler Lawson does well, I'm going to take credit for that too. But I'll go ahead and just say Mekhi Mitchell, though.
There we go.
But that's all we've got for you guys today. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in, listening to some Razorback basketball. Reminder that we're brought to you guys by the Field of 68 Podcast Network. You find us there on YouTube and then on Twitter and Apple Podcasts and wherever you get your stuff at under 30 Minutes of Hell. I've been your host, Brandon Baker, joined by Joey Jackson and Matt Jackson. And as always, go Hogs.
Thanks, everyone.